The G7 finance ministers have recognized a breach of the Russian oil price ceiling. The G7, along with the European Union and Australia, set a price cap of $60 per barrel in December 2022, but some nations continue to import crude from the Federation at a price above the limit. The G7 pledged to stop Russia from circumventing oil sanctions.
We remain committed to taking further initiatives in response to oil price cap violations, from a statement by G7 finance ministers in a publication of The Guardian.
There is no mention of further steps to be taken by the G7 in the joint statement. All we know is that they plan to increase the cost of its shadow fleet for Russia. Today, there are hundreds of outdated or defective tankers registered outside the jurisdiction of countries that have imposed restrictions on Russian oil. In mid-October 2024, the largest sanctions package against the shadow fleet of the Russian Federation was imposed by the UK. Now, the total number of sanctioned oil tankers has reached 43, but at least 192 vessels should fall under the restrictions, according to Greenpeace.
Of the 192 ships, 171 have passed through the German waters of the Baltic Sea and through parts of the Bay of Mecklenburg one or more times in the last 2 years. If an accident were to occur, the entire German Baltic Sea coastline would be in danger. All tankers are inadequately insured for the consequences of an oil spill. From a publication on the Greenpeace website.
9 oil spills around the world over the past 2 years have been linked to vessels in Russia's shadow fleet, Politico journalists have discovered. But payments in case of emergencies or environmental disasters are practically impossible. After all, the shadow fleet is insured only formally in sub-sanctioned Russian insurance companies or firms from Cameroon and Kyrgyzstan.
The very requirements to ensure maritime transport are not only in international legislation but also in Russian legislation. Thus, the shipper's company and its captain fulfill the insurance requirements of Russian law. However, international legislation does not consider them valid. This suggests that the system of sanctions itself needs to be expanded.
It is important not to ignore the presence of Russian insurance and prohibit the passage of the Russian fleet through the waters of European countries, analysts say. Since most of the oil from Russia goes to China or India, they refine it there and sell it, among others, to Europe.
Oil supplies from Russia to India in 2023 increased by 18 times compared to 2021, from 4.5 to 82 million tons, and to China by 30%, from 80 to 107 million tons. At the same time, petroleum product shipments from India and China to Europe grew by 3 times, from 12 to 36 million tons. Anatoly Yamelin, Director of Economic Programs at the Ukrainian Institute for the Future, in a column for NV.
Russia's total revenues from oil exports in 2024 will be either $182 billion or $189 if sanctions are not sufficiently enforced, the Kyiv School of Economics predicts. In 2025, this figure could reach $135 billion under the standard scenario, or increase to $169 billion if restrictions are not tightened. Analysts say that in order to reduce the Federation's revenues from oil exports, it is necessary to require tankers to be properly insured, enforce the price ceiling, and impose secondary sanctions on all those involved in Russia's circumvention of the restrictions. Reported by Anastasia Tarnavska, Valeria Nekopelova, UATV News.